It felt like deja vu all over again as the Islanders blew another 2-goal lead in the third period, but this time they flipped the switch and won it in overtime. We've got that and a whole lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome, everybody, to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. We have got a lot to get to after the Islanders' exciting overtime win over the Penguins. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you can send us an email to lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the air when we discuss whatever it is that's on your mind. You can also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you can follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all season long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. It certainly felt like we were watching an instant replay. The Islanders had a 2-goal lead in the third period against the Pittsburgh Penguins and watched it slip away in less than 1 minute. And all of a sudden it went from 4-2 to 4-4. And again, the game heads to overtime. And on social media, everybody is like, oh, we all know what's coming. And you got to figure that the Islanders players themselves were thinking, we all know what's coming. Not this again. But Adam Pelech, 57 seconds into overtime with a beautiful high snipe, scores the game-winning goal, beating Nedeljkovic and making it a 5-4 Islanders win. Yes, a regulation win would have been better, but getting these 2 points, so critical for the Islanders' fading playoff hopes, and for Adam Pelech, his first goal of the year, and it couldn't have come at a better time. That being said, there are still some familiar problems that this team faced in this game. Blowing a 2-goal lead in the third period, first among them. Having difficulty clearing the puck out of your own zone. Letting up after taking a lead into the third period, where defensively it looked more at times, especially again in the third period, that the Islanders were retreating too much, backing up a little too much, giving a little too much time and space, and giving the Penguins, who have a lot of skilled players, the ability to get into the zone with speed and momentum, and thereby to make things more difficult defensively. All of those things we saw again, and yet the outcome was different. First of all, one big difference. Kudos to Patrick Roy for using his timeout when he did. Islanders had just given up the 2 goals. The game was tied. He took the timeout, tried to get his team to settle down, and more or less they did. So that was a positive. Lane Lambert too often did not call timeout when his team started to falter and give up multiple goals. Good move there. Some good saves in this game by Ilya Sorokin, and he made 37 saves. Again, too many shots allowed, 41 in this game. But another thing that we saw that was very familiar, Ilya Sorokin, just not consistently on his A game. And one problem that I think we've seen from Sorokin this year, and look, everydayers, I've defended Ilya Sorokin more often than not, where I've said, yeah, he's facing too many shots, which he is, too many high danger chances, which he is. So I don't entirely blame him. But on too many goals this year, and we saw it again against the Penguins on Tuesday night, Ilya Sorokin playing a little too far back in his net. And I think that cost the Islanders on 2 of the 4 goals. One of them he should have been able to handle the rebound, couldn't, and it was poked home. But being a little too far back in the goal seems to be something that I think the goaltending coaches and maybe even Patrick Waugh, who knows a thing or two about goaltending, needs to talk to Ilya Sorokin about, because it's becoming a pattern, it's becoming a habit, and it's definitely not the kind of habit that you want to see. Now, there were some positives here that we haven't seen in a while. Simon Holmstrom getting a goal. What is that? His first goal in a long time. I think he had one in the last 17 games coming into this one. Holmstrom needed to get back on track. Getting a goal for him, a big deal. Obviously, Adam Pelech getting a goal, a big deal as well. So those things were good. And then the other thing I really did like about this game that we saw, the penalty kill. Yeah, the Islanders took dumb penalties again. Hooking call by Mathew Barzal. A questionable move by Patrick Waugh, trying to challenge a Penguins goal for a hand pass. Loses the challenge, and then the Penguins get a power play. And to me, that was a huge turning point in the game, because the Penguins had just made it 3-2. There were 3.5 minutes, a little less, left in the second period. And you had the Islanders with the worst penalty kill in the NHL going up against a Penguins power play, which has struggled all year, but still has Crosby, Malkin, Letang, Carlson, a lot of talented players out there. Well, the Islanders killed the penalty. In fact, they killed all of the power plays that they allowed, and there were 3 of them, but they went 3 for 3, and that was huge in this game. If the penalty kill struggled the way it had all season, they don't win this hockey game. So definitely some positive signs, but my concern is this. You're still giving up those 2-goal leads in the third period, or just another third period lead. You gave the Penguins an extra point that they didn't deserve. But that is not sustainable. That habit of giving up goals when you have a lead, giving up leads, it's been this team's MO all season. And, now they've got to get back to shutting it down like they did a couple of years ago, and being more confident that they can shut it down, because if they don't learn how to do that, better teams, and the Penguins are struggling pretty much just like the Islanders are, but better teams will take advantage, and it will not be good enough for this team to try to get back into the playoff hunt. So some baby steps forward. I like the way Patrick Roy managed the game overall. I like the fact that this team showed perseverance and overcame their own mistakes, but they've got to cut down on those mistakes or they're going to be in trouble in the long run. So hopefully they get to do that as this road trip continues Thursday in St. Louis. We have more to get to on today's show. We have our hero and GOAT of the game. We'll have an update on Casey Cizikas' status. We also have our weekly farm report. And for our Islanders birthday of the day, a defenseman who was with the team in the late 80s and early 90s. Let's see if you can guess who that is. All that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. You can use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging, so you can connect with candidates faster. And look, you have more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of Locked On Islanders will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your job more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Today's episode is also brought to you by your friends at FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. And you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live, same-game parlays, exclusive props, and a whole lot more. And it's not just the NBA. You could use your knowledge of the Islanders on FanDuel. Check out the odds and props available for the Islanders-Blues game coming up on Thursday. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So in this game, well, before we get to the injury situation, hero and GOAT of the game. And hero, I'm giving it to Adam Pelech. First goal of the year. It's the game winner in overtime. He also had an assist. He is a +2, had 3 shots on goal and a takeaway, led all Islander defensemen with 23 minutes and 48 seconds of ice time. So to me, hero of the game, Adam Pelech. Go to the game. Boy, oh boy. That is going to be a tough one. I'm going to go in this particular instance. Gosh, go to the game is going to be the poor effort by this team in the third period after Reilly scored what looked to be the insurance goal early on. So to me, another third period collapse, another letdown by this team. that is the GOAT of the game. By the way, a couple of statistical notes: 8 shots on goal for Brock Nelson. He had a goal and an assist and was a +2. The only reason I gave a slight edge to Pelech on the hero of the game is because he got the game winner. So that certainly had something to do with it. And again, the giveaways. Kyle Palmieri had a pair of those. That was certainly disappointing. Hits, Alexander Romanov leading the way with 5. Pierre Engvall and Mathew Barzal tied with Ryan Polak for the team lead with 2 blocked shots each. Casey Cizikas, injured in the second period, took a slap shot that hit him in the hand, did not return. Now, an injury update, by the way. Same lineup. Hudson Fasching, the scratch among the forwards. He apparently is no longer injured, but did come down with an illness. So Fasching still unavailable for the Islanders. And we're waiting also on Robert Bortuzzo to return. He has started to skate and practice. Still on LTIR, not quite there yet, but getting close. And it'll be interesting to see how the Islanders handle that situation once Bortuzzo is indeed available. Where, if at all, does he slot into the lineup? But losing Casey Cizikas, who was out there for 8 minutes and 31 seconds of this game. You don't want to lose Zeke. He's good in the faceoff circle. He's one of your better penalty killers, and Lord knows this penalty kill cannot afford to lose. I mean, they're bad enough, struggling enough right now as it is, can't afford to lose another player. But Kyle McLean was the guy they recalled when Cizikas went down earlier. If need be, you can call up McLean again and know that he is going to be a solid addition to the roster, that he may not be at this stage in his career what Casey Cizikas is as far as the intangibles and the leadership, but he plays a similar style of game, and he more than held his own over the 5 or 6 games that he played with the Islanders earlier, last month. So I obviously hope Cizikas is okay. He's a good Islander. He had 3 hits in just 8.5 minutes of ice time in this game. But I am relatively confident, or pretty darn confident, that if necessary, you can call up Kyle McLean, and for a game or 5 games or however many games it's necessary, you can get a solid all-around 4th-line center performance out of him. And if you have to place Cizikas on LTIR, if there is a broken bone, I hope not, but if there is a broken bone in his hand, and I'm sure they have to wait a little while for the swelling to go down and do some x-rays and what have you. But, you may be able to place Cizikas on LTIR. That might allow you to activate Bortuzzo off LTIR. Again, don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but right now, you have somebody available who you can call up and confidently get a solid performance out of. And that is indeed a good thing. By the way, one other thing I wanted to mention about this game. Who led the Penguins in shots on goal with 7? Sidney Crosby, of course. And we all know Sidney Crosby has a reputation as an Islander killer. He always seems to come up big against the New York Islanders. Well, in this game, 7 shots on goal, no goals, no assists, no points, obviously, and a -2 for Sidney Crosby. So for once, the Islanders contain Crosby. And also wanted to mention quickly, the Mathew Barzal goal, because Barzy takes that hooking penalty, and the Islanders do manage to kill it off. And as he comes out of the box, there he is on a breakaway. Sorokin gets an assist on that goal, and the Islanders end up with a 2-1 lead. You know, again, having the penalty kill come up big certainly helped, and the Islanders got it done. So that was great to see. And right now, a pretty goal by Barzal to make up for the mistake of the bad penalty that he took. All right, we've got more to get to on today's show. We have our weekly farm report on all things Bridgeport Islanders, and it was a good weekend for Bridgeport for a change. We'll talk about that, plus our Islanders birthday of the day, and a lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by your friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and all at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and it's now also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. It's time for our weekly farm report. Every Wednesday, we talk all things Bridgeport Islanders, and the Islanders played 3 games since our last farm report, and I'm happy to say they did pretty well. First game, a 3-2 win over the Providence Bruins, who are a darn good team, and the Islanders get the game winner in this one with 35.2 seconds left in regulation. Cole Bardreau gets the goal. A nice backdoor pass by Jeff Kubiak sets it up, and the Islanders get the win. Matt Maggio, Otto Koivula score the other goals for the Islanders. 26 saves by Ken Appleby, playing for the first time in 13 games. Then the next game, the Islanders play the Hartford Wolfpack. That's Islanders-Rangers rivalry, AHL style. Well, in this one, the Islanders get a point, but fall to the Wolfpack 2-1. Dalen Kufler with his first AHL goal, but again, the overtime loss. Matt Maggio, Kyle McLean with the assists on that goal. Jakub Skarek, 19 saves, but overall not enough for the W, but enough to earn a point. And then on Sunday, it's the Islanders beating the Laval Rocket in overtime. This one by a score of 2-1. Both goals scored by Matt Maggio. He is starting to find his game. He also, of course, had the game winner. And now a 3-game point streak for Maggio, who has 5 goals and 2 assists in his last 8 games. So he's up to 9 goals on the season. McLean assisted on both goals, and Henrik Tikkanen, 27 saves. He has now allowed 2 goals or fewer in 6 consecutive starts. His record now 5-3-2 on the season. Ruslan Ishkakov still leading the team with 35 points. He has 13 goals. But now Cole Bardreau William Dufour, both joining him with 10 goals. Otto Koivula, second on the team with 27 points. Kyle McLean, third with 22. Robin Salo, 21 points to lead all defensemen. Dennis Chalowski with 20. Cole Bardreau now 10 goals, 19 points, as the Islanders slowly but surely doing a little bit better here in the standings. They are still, obviously, 8th in the Atlantic Division of the AHL, 10 points behind the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. They need to make up 10 points in their remaining 24 games to try to make the playoffs. It will take a pretty big run, but let's see what they can do. Meanwhile, 3 games coming up this week before our next farm report. Tonight, Wednesday night, February 21st, Islanders at the Hartford Wolfpack. Again, Islanders-Rangers rivalry, AHL style. That is a 7 o'clock Eastern time start. Then Saturday, another road game at Wilkes-Barre Scranton. The Penguins hosting the Islanders, 6:05 Eastern time start. And then Sunday, they return to Bridgeport, and the Islanders host the Springfield Thunderbirds, a 3 o'clock Eastern time start. So if you want to see the Islanders' future stars today, you want to see Ruslan Ishkov, you want to see Matt Maggio, go get some tickets, head on up to Bridgeport, or you could watch all of these games, home and road, on AHL TV. So looking like a little better for the Bridgeport Islanders, and hopefully that is something they can sustain. Time now for our Islanders birthday of the day, and today is the 55th birthday of former Islanders defenseman Wayne McBean, the native of Calgary, Alberta, a first-round pick, 4th overall of the LA Kings back in 1987, played 27 games for the Kings that year, but during the 88-89 season was dealt to the Islanders and stuck with the Isles through the 93-94 season when he was dealt to Winnipeg. And that was it for his NHL career. 211 career games, 10 goals, 49 points, and 168 penalty minutes for Wayne McBean. He did play in 2 playoff games for the Isles in 1990, had a goal and an assist, so 2 points in 2 playoff games for Wayne McBean. We go back and look at one of his better games for the Isles, November 19th, 1991, at the old Met Center in Minnesota, where the Islanders were visiting the Minnesota North Stars. Steve Weeks, the goalie for the Islanders, John Casey, the goalie for the Minnesota North Stars. And in the third period, Wayne McBean gets a shorthanded goal. Benoit Hogue and Dave McElwain with the assists. And that was part of 4 unanswered goals to help the Islanders beat the North Stars by a score of 7-4. So a nice road win for the Islanders. For Mr. McBean, he had a goal. He was a +1. He did have 2 penalty minutes. He had a shorty, and it was the game winner, one of his 2 shots on goal in the game. So Wayne McBean is our Islanders' birthday of the day, and we wish him all the best on his day. Want to thank everyone for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day, everydayers. Tomorrow on the show, we will have a full preview of the Islanders game Thursday night against the St. Louis Blues. And hopefully we'll have an update on Casey Cizikas. And again, follow us on X so that you'll get updates as soon as we get them. So make sure you join us for that as the Islanders continue their drive for the playoffs. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.